Hello and welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Sales. I'm Ashleigh Early. Casey Jones is still out recovering, so I'm really excited. Today we are joined by my new temporary co-host, Bryan Smith.
What's up, people?
And we today are so excited to be speaking with the incomparable, the unfiltered, the birthday boy himself, Larry Long. Larry, it is actually his birthday on the day we're recording. He's the Director of Collegiate Sales at Teamworks. He is passionate about coaching, helping sales professionals take their game to that next level. He brings a unique perspective to the table and understands many of the challenges faced by sales pros. Larry, thank you so much for joining us.
Come on now, Ashleigh. What's going on, Bryan? I'm happy to be here in the house. Yeah, 42 years young. I wish I was 21, but that was all a dream.
I don't even remember my 21st birthday, and not for the reasons you'd think. I don't think I did anything. So 42 is a special thing for me because I'm a huge sci-fi nerd, and 42, as anyone in sci-fi knows, is the answer to everything. Wow. So this is the year, Larry. I'm going to be calling you a lot more and asking for the answers.
Yeah, I love it. We're in Atlanta too, and in the South, I think it'd be definitely a thing to mention. 42 is the number war by Jackie Robinson, so definitely want to mention that too. So love the number 42, man.
No doubt. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Of course. All right. So let's just kind of start off. As you know, we're making it a priority on Other Side of Sales to feature the stories of Black sales pros and their experiences going forward, directed by that we haven't had enough diversity, and just to talk about what's going on in the culture and the movements that are going on right now. So I'd like, Larry, you've obviously been an individual contributor, but you're currently in a management position. I'm curious what you would say to a hiring manager who says, I can't hire a more diverse team because I don't get any diverse candidates applying to my job.
Yeah, I would call BS on that.
Yes.
I'm going to keep it real. We're no filter here. That's BS. Essentially, you get what you seek. And if you're not seeking diverse candidates, then of course you're not going to get diverse candidates. And I've seen it throughout my career where you can come up with an excuse for everything. I mean, I've got an excuse for every day that ends in Y, but essentially if I want to get it, I'm going to get it. And that's where we're at right now. We're at a crossroads, and there's a lot of conversations of companies that are talking, and we all know that talk is cheap. I think there's a quote that says, hey, your actions speak so loud, I can't hear what you're saying. So when you put the blacked out logo, but I look at your leadership team and Ashleigh, nothing but love for you, but it's Snow White. Come on now.
No, and I'll say this.
Come on, man.
No.
What are we talking about, Willis? I mean, what in the world?
No,
I mean,
it's ridiculous.
I don't want to call out names, but we've seen them. I mean, I've seen the boards: Nike, Adidas, Apple. I mean, the list goes on and on. What are we doing? What are we really doing? So, I mean, talk is cheap. We can talk a good game. So, I mean, it's one of those things where if you're serious about it, you're going to speak with and you're going to seek out avenues to reach those folks that might be in underserved communities. And that's been proven that if you do, there's talented Black and brown men and women all over. But it's easy to just say, I can't find them. I'm just going to stay in my little bubble, my cocoon. And that's the easy route. I think Rory Vaden has a book called, Take the Stairs. I think that might be the title of it. And he looks at how human nature is to take the easy route. He was observing people going to the gym. We're going to get a workout in. Come on now. About to work out. And there's stairs and there's an escalator. Majority of people are taking the escalator. Come on now. Come on now. What are we doing? And that when I think about this, it really, I don't know if you can tell, it brings some emotions out because I shared this 2 weeks ago that I've had a lot of incidents and a lot of situations that haven't been very positive. And I'm a positive person. And my coping mechanism is to put them in the back of my head under lock and key, never to come out again. That was the hope. Well, with everything that's going on, Pandora's box has been open. And I've been having to work my way through those feelings, those emotions of guilt, disappointment in myself, frustration, anger, you name it. And I'm still fighting through those emotions. My wife gave me a story. She was like, hey, I don't know if you remember, we were recently married. I had a Volkswagen Jetta. That was my little car. And I had a busted out taillight. And she said, the cops, I remember exactly where we were. The cops came behind me. They lit me up. She said, I've never seen you sweat, just get nervous and tense. She said, I was wondering, my wife's from Argentina. She was like, I was wondering what in the heck is going on with him? Like, what is it? And she was like, I then realized that the relationship with law enforcement, it's just, because she was like, when I get pulled over, it's like, dang, I got caught. I was speeding her. Oh, they got me. For me, just the emotion is, are we going to have a problem here? Am I going to lose my life? Which that's not a good, positive, natural thought, but it's a thought that has to be had. And unfortunately, I put that in the back of my mind to focus on positive things, but that's not right either. I shouldn't have to feel that way, and I shouldn't have to lock it under lock and key in order to be able to go about my life and living my life the way I want to. So it's a complex topic. Woo.
For sure. Actually, Larry, let me ask you something, man. It's crazy because since I've met you, I've known you as a very positive person. It was the one thing that I was attracted to. To be real with you, I didn't grow up with somebody that looked like you with that much energy and positivity. And so there's two things. I'm sorry you've had to put that back in Pandora's box and lock it away, because that's not right. Two, for the people that are listening that are taking that elevator, because again, I hate excuses. What's the one small step somebody who doesn't look like you and I, right? What's the easiest step that they can make starting tomorrow to no longer make that an excuse of taking the elevator? What's the one small step they can take?
Yeah, it's the thing that they can take starting tomorrow is to pick up the phone or get on their 2 feet and walk to have a conversation with someone that looks like you and I. There's a lot of brothers and sisters that are open to the dialogue. And that's really where it starts. That's a start. And that's one small step that can really having that conversation and listening, which we talk about all the time in sales, but really listening to understand someone's story. So many times we ask the question, but we don't really want to hear the answer, and we don't hear the answer. It's like, I kind of hear what you're saying, but I'm getting uncomfortable, so I'm going to just kind of tune you out. No, listen, we've all had our own journeys. And I mean, Bryan, I appreciate you sharing that. My positivity, it comes from my father. My father grew up in Baltimore City. He grew up in the projects. Abusive father. His father served in the military. Abusive father. A mother who tried her best with 3 boys. My dad was in the middle. The only one from his family to graduate high school. Think about that. Surrounded by the crew he ran with at his coming out of high school. They were either dead or in jail. That was the route. And for him, track and field was his ticket out of the projects. He was a long jumper, triple jumper at University of Maryland. Go Terps. My sister ran track at Maryland. Go Terps. I was the black sheep of the family, literally and figuratively. Go Terps, playing baseball at Maryland. But I learned from my dad that the glass is not even half full. He looked at the glass as 100% full and pretty much said, hey, with whatever cards life deals you, you got to figure it out, man. FITFO, figure it the F out. Yeah. FIDO, F it, drive on. There's all these things, but it's crazy because I in thinking about it, that positive attitude is what, so my father passed 5 years ago. He had amyloidosis. It's a kind of like a abnormality in the blood. And I remember January 10th, he passed on December 10th. He passed on December 11th. He was up in Boston at a center getting treatment. I said, how you feeling, Pops? He said, I feel the best that I've ever felt. That was a bold-faced lie. But in his mind, he had convinced himself that I'm good, I'm great, I'm wonderful, and we're gonna make it do what it do. Now, unfortunately, that wasn't the case. He passed the next day, but that's been my coping mechanism, is really to be positive, to look for, and it's a choice. You can look for, I mean, I can tell you, my wife and I have a great relationship. She's not as positive. Now, she shifted a little bit, but she still tends to look at the, I guess she would call it the realistic approach. We've got a bet right now about just complete anarchy and looting and around the coronavirus. We weren't thinking about the protests and what's going on there, but I said, nah, we're going to be okay. But she's somewhat right. We're in some serious stuff. and that's a capital S with stuff, especially you, Bryan. You're in Atlanta. You're in hot Atlanta. The block is hot, literally and figuratively right now. So it's one of those things for me. I'm just trying to balance out my emotions, my feelings, and trying to figure out how can I take care of me. But I've got 2 kids. I got a 10-year-old son who's very observant. He knows what the deal is. I got a 6-year-old daughter who she's not quite there yet, thankfully. But there's some real issues that are going on within the nation and within the world. So great question there. For anyone that doesn't look like me, make that step. Make that left foot, right foot, go and walk and have a conversation with someone. Pick up this 500-pound phone, have a conversation, and just listen. That's a great step. Now, after that, after you listen, you got to process it, and then you got to take action. What am I going to do that's going to be different? That's going to make an impact. Because if I learn it and saying ain't doing, I learn it and I say, oh, I'm going to make a difference, but I keep doing what I've been doing in the past, I think you call that insanity. We're going to continue seeing exactly what we've seen in the past, and that's not good. I'm going to call a spade a spade. I try to claim it's all good, but in reality, it hasn't been good.
No, so I'm really intrigued by this idea of like you've had negative experiences in ways that I can't imagine. I can try to empathize, but I'm never going to understand. And I'm fascinated by this idea that you're kind of locking. So everybody has that instinct. Something bad happens, suppress it, lock it away, don't deal with it, or deal with it by putting it aside. And that frequently ends with, the human reaction, which is it builds and builds and builds until it explodes, which is arguably how we kind of got here. But I'm curious how you balance, there's all this pressure and this history that you've got personally, as well as all the context of what's going on in the world and your kids. How do you balance all of that with having to show up at work and hit a number?
Yeah.
Great question, Ashley.
I got to pay the bills. So it's one of those things where I said it earlier, FITFO. I got that from a Boston College runner. I learned from one of my colleagues, Fido, F it, drive on. He said, that's not the name of my dog, but that's my motto. The Boston College runner said, hey, Larry, can I steal that? I'll give you mine. Me and my roommate have a thing called FITFO, figure it the freak out. You got to figure it the freak out, Ashleigh. I've got bills to pay. I got a family that I got to support. So it's one of those things where you put on your happy face, also known as my game face, and you put the smile on. Everything's hunky-dory. When underneath, it's, I don't know, it's one of those things where maybe everything isn't. And it's just you put on your armor, you go out there, you do what you need to do, and you keep it moving. It's not easy, but life isn't easy for anybody. But especially being a person of color, it's doubly, triply difficult, I guess you can say. I remember having the conversation with my parents that, Larry, you're going to have to be twice, if not 3 times better than the next man or woman who doesn't look like you. And you're going to have to make your own opportunities. You're going to have to go through the gauntlet, and you're going to get beat. Boom, boom, boom. And looking through my career, I've gone through the gauntlet, but I've chosen to kind of shake it off and say, hey, I'm going to do what it do and make it happen without excuses, which it's not an excuse. I mean, the reality is that the system and it's systemic. The organizations are not necessarily set up for folks that look like me to succeed. Now, there are examples of folks that have succeeded and have fought through adversity, but it's not set up. The game wasn't set up for us to win. But once again, you've got to find a way and just get creative. It's one of the things that I look for in a rep. I look for a rep. I call it that internal drive and determination. One example is the gentleman who plays professional football for the Seahawks that doesn't have a hand.
There's my hometown represented.
Exactly. Now, how does he do that? Everyone told him you can't. This is what you can't do. And he decided, I'm going to go through that gauntlet, and I'm going to show you what I'm working with. Here goes what I can do. It's the same thing. I look for folks with that internal drive that when you get hit with an obstacle, you're going to find a way over it. You're going to find a way under it. You're going to find a way around it. And if you have to, like LL Cool J said, Mama said, knock you out. I'm going to find a way right through it. I got to do what I got to do.
So is that something, I mean, we talk about, you mentioned finding a way through and around stuff. Is that something you would ask sales leaders to be doing is checking in with their employees of color and saying, hey, you're doing a great job. You're showing calm. You're presenting confident, put together, game face with a smile on. Is that something it would mean something to you if your leader came up to you and said, hey, appreciate you putting your game face on. I know you're probably not okay. And if I can help, let me know.
If you're in a safe place. Okay. So, I mean, I'll share with you, I've been places where it wasn't safe. They said it was safe, but there's another saying. I love sayings, preferably positive, but it says, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And if your leader and leadership don't care, and they've shown it by their actions, you can say all you want. I'm not going to keep it real with you. I'm a sugarcoat it. And it's pretty tough to sugarcoat poop. I want to say the other word, but it's tough. And people aren't dumb. I mean, I tell my sales reps that the folks that we're reaching out to are not dummies. Like they can smell BS from a mile away. Well, it's the same thing for our employees. They can smell BS. And I mean, there's been a lot of statements where I've smelt it recently. That's BS. Like that's the trendy thing to do. You're out there on the gram. You're out there on Twitter. You're out there on your webpage. That sounds good, but you're not doing anything. You're not about that life. And that's my biggest challenge and my biggest hurdle is how do you reconcile what folks say versus what they do and what they mean. And my biggest concern is we get 60 days out from here. It's June 15th. What happens August 15th? I hope that we're not having a conversation about, college football is about to kick off. Black lives, what? Black lives what? And it's not even Black Lives Matter. I mean, that's I saw something recently. Black Lives Matter is the minimum bar. Black lives don't just matter. They should be celebrated. They should be exalted. I mean, it's a challenging situation, Ashleigh and Bryan, but like you said, if you want to create a culture of openness and understanding of equality and inclusion, it really takes someone who cares sincerely. There's a lot of people that say they care, and I've run across millions of people, right, hundreds of thousands, and a lot of folks are me monsters. They don't care about anyone else. It's me, that person in the mirror. Everyone else, I don't care. There's a book. It's the Go Giver. And there's two people in this world, I believe. There's those people who wake up every morning and say, I want to take as much as this world will give me, the money, the riches, the notoriety. I'm just going to take. And then there's other people who wake up and say, man, what can I give? How can I help others? And I mean, you certainly got to take care of self, but that giving spirit, it shines through. You can't hide that giving spirit. I've yet to meet someone who BS'd me on actually truly caring. I mean, I've gotten burnt a couple times. Let me keep it real, but you can generally tell, you can generally feel when someone truly cares versus when they're going through and they're checking the box. Oh, did I ask them, hey, how are you doing through this? Man, I'm not going to tell you. You don't really care. Now you want to act brand new like you care? Come on, man. It's like Monday Night Football. Come on, man. I got so many come on, man scenarios. I should write a book.
That's a podcast right there. Come on, man, for sales.
Yeah. Larry, go ahead, Ashleigh. I
was just going to say, I imagine you're still sending the alligator email. Come on.
Larry, I think you hit on something that I would love to hear about, man. You said your parents instilled in you that you were going to have to be 2 to 3 times better than most of the people around you. That weighed so heavy on me because my wife always asked me, like, why do you feel like you have to carry everything on your shoulders? And I think it's because my parents, while they didn't say that exact phrase, I think it was instilled in me that I needed to be 2 or 3 times better. So when you got out of college and you got into your career, obviously in your leadership, you're great at what you do. People wouldn't be hiring you to be in the leadership. But I'm guessing that didn't come easy. If I had to guess, if it's anything that's been like my journey, it didn't come easy breaking into that management position. And I would love to hear who helped you, who was an ally, what strategy did you what strategic things did you do to get into that type of role? I would love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, my first career out of college was at Accenture doing IT consulting, and got to travel the nation, learned a lot, work with a lot of sharp people, but I wasn't passionate about it. I wasn't passionate about helping America Online make even more millions and billions by outsourcing, taking jobs here in the States and shipping them to India. It didn't get me excited. So I made the choice to move to Raleigh, good old Raleighwood, North Kakalaki, North Carolina, to open up an indoor baseball softball academy. And my colleagues were like, what? Like, I know you're crazy, but are you stupid or are you dumb? I said, hey, I got to follow my heart. I've got a calling to help youngsters learn life skills through the game of baseball. There's an opportunity for me to make a living doing that. Now, unfortunately, the opportunity to make a living, that kind of faded. We ran out of cash, more money going out the back door than coming in the front door. Important lesson. But after that, I had to tuck my tail in between my legs and joined a company called SageWorks, making $150 a day to CPAs and accountants who get paid for their time. So I'm trying to pitch them on taking a meeting. They're like, who do I send the invoice to? I'm like, what? I had one guy who told me, he said, hey, Larry, thanks for calling. Go ahead and put on a pair of concrete shoes and jump off a bridge. I said, uh-oh, this guy told me to kill myself. How do I overcome that objection? I just said, God bless you too. I mean, I guess that's how you handle that. But SageWorks gave me the opportunity. I was busting my butt, working hard, making $150. Actually, one time I made $148. Got called into my boss's office. I'll never forget. This stands out. And it wasn't even what he said. The expectations were set. If you're going to play in our sandbox, you're going to play by our sandbox rules. 148 calls, that's not 150. If you do it again, Larry, you can see yourself out the door. I said, damn, this guy ain't messing around. So I made sure I made 150 calls. But I hung in there, had some success. Remember it like it was yesterday. North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee. I picked up Hawaii and Alaska so I could call longer, had some success. They moved me into a marketing leadership role. And from there, it was all she wrote. I got to manage some teams. I got to help with training and onboarding. And it was just an awesome experience. In terms of allies, I've had so many, I like to call them mini mentors, because I've got my main mentor, Mark Winchester. Thank you, Mark. But I've got so many mini mentors that have truly cared about me, have truly sewed into me, have coached me, and really supported me throughout my entire personal career as well as professional career. And I've just been blessed with their encouragement, with their knowledge. And one thing, Ashleigh, welcome to the Triangle, that I love about this area is that folks are so encouraging and they're willing to share knowledge so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that they have. I call them Sherpas. It's kind of like if I was going mountain climbing, I want a Sherpa with that local knowledge to help me. There's so many, and so many people are proactive about it. I used to be. Right now, I'm not bashful about asking for help. Now, my ego hasn't gone all the way out the door, but it's somewhere. I've learned that, hey, it's easier to ask for help versus bashing into those walls on your own. And just in this area, as well as in the sales community, there are so many people that have that caring spirit, giving spirit, that want to see you succeed. It's like, hey, I'm trying to get mine, but I also want you to get yours. What can I help you with? How can I serve you? So, Bryan, I've really been blessed with those allies, those mini mentors. Unfortunately, my son's 10. I've had to have the conversation with him because he's off the chain. He's off the hook. He's loud. Wonder where he gets it from. He must get it from his mama. But I've been like, Trey, there's a time and a place, dude, because we're not afforded the same opportunities as others who might not look like us. You're going to be pigeonholed and you're going to be labeled as that kid. And believe you me, I was labeled as that kid. I was the class clown telling corny jokes and always loud and center of attention. I mean, some things never change, but I've really been blessed, really been fortunate to have been able to navigate and guide. And I mean, there's too many to name, but really been fortunate with just the unit, I guess, the support unit around me has really been, they've been so supportive. I haven't done it alone. Now, you better be working hard. You better not sit back and relax, or else nothing's going to happen. But I've certainly tried my best to take advantage of the opportunities I've been presented and to pass that along. I'm a mentor at the NC State Entrepreneurship Clinic. I love working with the young minds, innovative minds. That first company making $150, they had an exit 2 years ago. I was blessed that my stock option papers that were in the file cabinet actually turned to some real paper. was able to build a house, and I've been able to invest in companies. My first investment company called Grippers, 2 former NC State football players, Black entrepreneurs that are doing the daggone thing with sports technology. I've joined an investment group, and now I've been able to put my money where my mouth is. It's like, hey, show me what you're working with. Well, you can look at my bank account and see where I'm investing my money. I had the conversation just last Thursday with the managing partner, who's of Latin descent, about how can we continue to take action to support female as well as people of color that don't have the same opportunities and don't have the same support financially as some of the others. So we're really looking to take additional action so that we can accelerate, because it's great to talk a good game, but it's like, hey, when we look at the paper and the documentation, what are we really doing to support Black businesses, women-owned businesses? So I absolutely love it. I've been blessed, fortunate, and essentially it's our responsibility. My belief is if you've been blessed, you better pass it on.
Shout out to Larry Long Jr. right there for that, man. I would clap, but I don't want to mess up the, so I'm going to snap for y'all who can't see this.
So you talk about mini mentors, which I love that idea, because a lot of times mentorship gets kind of blown up as like, it's got to be this deep, lifelong thing. Makes it feel more like dating, and it's not. I love this idea of the mini mentors. So like where there's somebody who steps in at the right time with the right lesson to kind of just see you through a good patch or a rough patch. How do you make sure you take advantage of that? How did you make sure, obviously you're hustling. I've told a lot of people that I've hired over the years, like, yeah, I asked them, why should I hire you? Oh, I'm going to work hard. Damn right. You're going to work hard. That's table stakes. Set you apart. So how do you make sure you take advantage of those moments where you've got a mini mentor who is investing time in you? I'm
meeting with many mentors all the time. So this right here is my notebook. This was from October of last year. And every day I make it a point to meet with people and take notes of what they're saying, but also afterwards to take notes of what am I going to do from what they shared with me. Just today, no, this was from May 28th, but we can go through and you can check the receipts. Essentially, I'm going through taking notes of what our conversation is about. I always ask, how can I help you? But I also want to take out a nugget of something that I can do, because your experience, Ashleigh, is different from my experience. I don't know what it's like to be a female in the business world and the sales world. Bryan, even though we both look alike, your experience is different from mine. So I'm looking to learn. And I think I talked to a gentleman who's he's a kind of a leader, a chairman of Vistage Worldwide. They consult with CEOs. And he shared with me that his ideal customer profile is a CEO that has a growth mindset. Not a CEO that's got it all figured out and says, hey, I'm good. Essentially, he wants someone who says, I might be good, but I'm looking to be great, and I know I can learn. So for me, I've been able to observe some of the best, both playing sports. It's those that are always looking to take their game to the next level and looking to learn from others and take action on that. So for me, I've been blessed that people have been open to sharing with me, and I take advantage of them sharing in my notes with what am I going to take away that I can implement in Larry Long Jr. LLC, which is my business. How can I make Larry Long Jr. get to that next level? So that's what I look for. I look for someone who hasn't had just a smooth ride. Oh, I've been the Midas touch. Everything I've touched is gold. Nah, that's not real life right there. I want to hear the nitty gritty of what did you learn when you failed? What would you do again if you were presented with that? What are your key learnings? It's one of those, when I do my coachings, I do a plus, I do a delta, which are the areas for improvement, and then I do what would you do differently? So if you're going to shadow someone on a call, it's great, but I want you to look at what did they do well? What did they not do well? And what will I do when I'm in that position? What would I recommend they do differently? That's true learning right there when you can start to integrate it. I don't know if that's osmosis. I'm not very good at definitions, but this is the awake osmosis. I think osmosis is supposed to be when you're sleeping, but I'm getting that osmosis of everything that you know and everything that you've been through, and I'm going to put that into me, and I'm going to make sure that if it's on the negative side, I don't go down that path. If it's on the positive side, give me some more of that. Give me some more.
I love it. Hey, since we're on the topic of, many mentors, how do you vet those people that they're legit in a way? Obviously, right, you mentioned a key thing, right? I want to see where you failed and you've got back up over time and time. But what are some things you looked for in order to have that true trust with that person, right? Because at the end of the day, like, I like to think you're giving a piece of you to them as well as you're hopefully taking a piece of them. How do you vet them and building that trust?
That's great. And I wish I had a checklist. I mean, certainly looking for experience, a
Yeah.
very diversity of experiences, but also it's that feel. It's something that I've learned is when your gut tells you something, you better listen. So I've had times in hiring where I didn't trust my gut and I ended up getting burned. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. But in terms of listening to someone, you can tell when someone is about you. It's generally, you can get burned sometimes, but generally people who are genuine or they're just genuine people. So, I mean, I've got a buddy, Jamie Babb, former colleague of mine, making 150 dials. And he took a sabbatical. He took 4 months off of work to ride his bike from San Jose, California, down to San Diego, all the way across to St. Augustine. It was supposed to be a 3-month trip. It was him and 3 buddies. They had their camping gear, and this is a pedal bike. This ain't a motorcycle. This is a pedal bike. I said, Jamie, you crossed the great United States. He had a little bit of a stop in New Mexico. He got in a little accident, and a stranger came and took him to the hospital. He had a little bit of a longer stop in New Orleans. He fell in love in New Orleans. But he said, hey, one of my key learnings is that 99.8% of people are just nice. Just all throughout the U.S. Now, he doesn't look like me, but his experience, he's outside of grocery stores, and they're out there loading up on carbs, and people are just inquisitive. What are y'all doing? Well, we're riding our bikes across the U.S. Well, do you need a place to stay? You can stay in my backyard, or you can stay in my guest house. He just said that the majority of people they're about giving to others. And I found that. Are there some bad apples? For sure. You're going to get that anywhere. You're going to find that in religious organizations. You're going to find that in businesses, for-profit, nonprofit. You'll find that anywhere. But essentially, it's really trying your best. And it's a numbers game. You're going to find more good people, hopefully, than bad. So, I mean, maybe I've been lucky. I don't believe I have. I wouldn't say I vetted people per se, but there's been times where my spidey sense went off and said, let's cut ties and part ways as friends, and we'll keep it moving. You do you, and I'm gonna do me. Let's keep it moving. So, great question. I would encourage anyone. You get the feeling when you connect with someone. It's like, yeah, I like this person. They care about me. I care about them. I can help them out. They can help me out, because it really does work both ways. I can tell you at NC State, the students are like, well, why would you so into me? I can't give you anything back. And I'm like, hey, just us having this conversation is giving back a ton, because I get joy from hearing and seeing someone who takes knowledge and actually applies it. When I had my baseball academy, it's crazy. The students that I enjoyed working with weren't necessarily the ones that were most skilled, the ones that were beasts. It was the ones that were truly hungry. They were like, Coach Larry, I will do whatever to be able to hit 350. Let's get after it. I'll never forget Ian Holbrook. He's a grown man now. I remember him when he was a youngster. His mom, April, called me and said, Coach Larry, Ian wants to tell you something. Coach Larry, I kept my head down. I owned the ball. I hit 4 hard line drives. I went 3 for 4. I hit a home run. I can't tell you how impactful that was on me to hear the joy of, I think he was 11 years old at the time, 9 or 11 at the time, that I had an impact on him that made him feel great. I mean, there's nothing else you can ask for in life right there.
No, honestly, I'm so with you there. There is the 2 biggest highs you can get, I think, in sales are, one, that really deep coaching connection with somebody, and it works, and they finally get it. You get so much joy. I get so much more joy out of seeing someone that I helped really start thriving, as much, if not more, than if I go out and close a huge deal myself.
And that takes a special person, Ashleigh.
Yeah.
I knew there was a reason why I liked you. That takes a special person.
And it's funny too, because you mentioned that people who are really hungry too. One of the things I've experienced with coaching is working with people who are difficult, who don't take it easily, who don't learn normal ways. They force me to grow as a coach. They force me to grow as a person. They force you to me to think in ways that I haven't thought before, which makes me a better seller, which makes me a better leader, makes me a better communicator. So like even people are like, oh, why are you like right now I'm doing, a lot of free work with people who are looking for jobs, just here and there, if you're looking for something, hit me up. I'm always happy to help. Like, but people are like, why are you wasting your time doing this stuff? Like, it's a couple hours a week. I've got the time, but I get so much out of it from like when they hit me up a couple weeks later, I got the job. Yes. Okay. The positioning worked. Yay. Hiring managers aren't stupid. And you need those wins here and there, especially
and
right now.
What you said, Ashleigh, is I think Josh Braun, when we were in Atlanta, we heard him talking about deposits. When you make those deposits, there's no silver bullet. So many times people are looking for the magic dust, the silver bullet.
Yeah, can you just give me a template?
What's up?
No. Oh, I just did that. Can you give me a template? Question. No, I can't give you a template.
And there's a visual. I think they call it the iceberg of success, where on the above the water you see the success, but you don't see below the sacrifice, the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears that it took in order to get to that success. Which it's just having a giving spirit is it's amazing how many opportunities open up when you just want to give, expecting nothing in return. Nothing at all. It's truly amazing.
Larry, let me ask you. You mentioned a couple different things. As you were telling a story about your interaction with the kids and baseball and different things, right? Something hit me. Obviously you have something similar to them, right? You have something you can be that's relatable. In your work experience, man, in corporate America, could you share with me what has it been like? What's been the hurdles culturally, as far as reporting to someone that may not look like you or have that same background as you? And I want to try to pull a couple of different things out of this, right? For one side of the fence, if I'm not Black, but I'm leading a Black male, female, whomever, what are some things that I could do to help break down those culture barriers, right? And maybe I shouldn't assume that's happened to you, but could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. My wife and I just had this conversation over the weekend. I've had some instances where I came in to lead a team, and they didn't look like me. There were 3 of them, and 2 of them made it very clear. They didn't have to say it, but they made it very clear that we're not happy and we don't respect someone who's a little bit darker than me. You just don't have my respect. So whatever you say, it's going to go in one ear and out the other, simply because the color of your tan. I was born with it. We'll keep it moving. Now, there was one who was open-minded and said, hey, I might be able to learn something from this guy. He's got a smile all the time. He's kind of crazy, but I can learn. And she moved from lead generation to account executive, still having success, working at a unicorn company here in Raleigh. Company starts with a P. I won't say their name, but you can look at my profile and figure out who they were. I've had other instances of reporting to managers that didn't look like me, who really, once again, they discounted. They discounted the value that I could bring. And it's one of those things where it happens. I mean, I'm a big believer. My definition of sales is matchmaker. You're matching your products, services, ideas, and thoughts with someone else's needs, wants, desires, challenges, hopes, dreams, aspirations, and you're making that match. It doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes I believe that a manager and an employee, you got to have that match as well. And sometimes it's a miss, and that's okay. We keep it moving. But my encouragement would be just to have an open heart, to have an open mind, to have that understanding, to seek to understand, where do you come from? What is your motivation? What is your mindset? It's one of those things that we learn in sales, that you got to take what people say at face value. And sometimes you got to peel back that onion to figure out, hey, tell me more. Help me understand where this mindset, where this train of thought comes from. And it's the same thing with the relationship of both boss as well as employee, and vice versa. Essentially, if I'm leading you, I better make sure I understand what you're all about. Where have you been? Where do you want to go? So for me, I have my reps put together a business plan. Like you said, Ashleigh, give me the template. What should my business? I don't know. It's your business plan. You tell me. What do you want to accomplish professionally? What do you want to accomplish personally? And then what can I do to help you follow that business plan. That business plan, essentially, it can just be one page. That's the blueprint. That's the compass. If I was trying to sail from New York to Africa and I had a compass, but I put it inside the cabinet, never to be seen, I'm probably going to make a lot of wrong turns, end up in the North Pole chilling with Santa Claus instead of in the motherland. I'm in trouble. So essentially, you better use that compass, that business plan as a guide, and let me help you to execute to get there. And sometimes we're going to have to make some adjustments. Hey, let's go ahead and adjust this. Let's make some changes. I've been down that path. You don't want to go that way. Let's make a U-turn and find a new path. So I don't have all the answers. I rarely have any answers, to be honest with you, but I've seen some stuff. So I've kind of been there, done that, and I can serve as a Sherpa for some circumstances.
Yeah, I love it. That's just so awesome to hear that you mentioned the business plan, right? It takes a subjective matter and objectifies it, right? So I think that's beautiful. If any managers, directors are listening to that, do that. It gives you insight, right? It's more than just another person, another seat on the bus. Now that person is a human, right? Yep. Their business, you can see inside what drives them, and that makes it objective and not subjective. That's so awesome, man.
I love it. The business plan, I'm going to double click on the business plan. There's another thing called a journey line, and we did it. So recently I picked up a team from Influencer in Birmingham, Alabama, and we went through an exercise of a journey line. So Ashleigh, your journey line, your personal, you were born somewhere, you've moved around, your professional journey line, you've had some highs, you've had some lows. I want to learn all about that. I want to learn, what did you learn? What did you learn? What were your key takeaways from those highs? What did you learn during those lows? And then what's the best way for me to work with you? It's just an easy way, 45 minutes, where I come in and I present. My journey line is simple. I've lived in 6 different states, moved around. My parents work for Department of Veterans Affairs. Family means the most to me, my faith, my family, and I like to have fun. We'll keep it with the 3 F's. And professionally, I've been a journeyman. There's no mystery why. I moved around a lot as a kid. Professionally, I've moved around a lot as well. I tend to get bored and like a new challenge. And essentially, it helps you to understand, hey, what makes Larry tick? Well, I can tell you, the thing that makes me tick is seeing potential and talent unrealized. I played with some baseball teammates that had beast-like talent, beast mode talent, that had the work ethic of this. And I just, like Sweet Georgia Brown said, ain't nobody got time for that. We can be friends. We can grab a drink. I drink amaretto sours, 2 cherries. I'm a fruity tootie, but you can't be on my team. If I have a choice, you can't be on my team. I can't mess with you. If you're not willing to at least get 90% of your talent, can't do nothing with you. Sorry.
I love it. So there, I know nothing about basketball. Nothing. This is how little I knew about basketball. I spent over a decade in the Bay Area with the Golden State Warriors and all that. So I was in Oakland for some of the championships. I did not know Steve Kerr played for the Bulls until I watched the Michael Jordan documentary. I'm watching that. I was like, wait, I know him.
You're killing me, Ash.
I had no idea.
Take a moment of silence real quick.
For Ashleigh's knowledge of basketball, it's pathetic.
Jordan crying meme there.
Oh, yeah, that was bad. But like the thing that's talking about this, he's got everyone always exalts him for this incredible natural gift for the game. But it wasn't just the gift, it was the work. And that his unimpeachable work ethic. It wasn't, I expect everyone else. It's, I'm going to do this, and I expect everyone else around me to match it.
So true. I'm going to share something. So with the Flip the Script tour with Beck Holland, they asked, what are the characteristics of a GOAT, greatest of all time sales professional? And I led off, and I said, hard work. I'm a true believer of hard work. 2 people down, it was Sahil of Bravado, Sahil Mansuri. And he said, Larry, I'm going to respectfully disagree. I said, say what? You know who I am, dog? And he said, yeah, I know who you are, but I'm going to respectfully disagree. I said, all right, tell me more. And he said, Larry, I've seen it. Sales professionals that work super hard. But if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a process, a good process, you can work as hard as you want. And I said, damn, this kid is good. The kid is good. He knows exactly what he's talking about. Because if you don't have a plan, he equated it to me. He said, hey, you like to golf. I'm a gopher. I'm not very good. Tiger's my cousin. I'm Larry, hit it in the woods. But he said, you can go out on the driving range and take 1,000 swings every day. But if your swing looks like Charles Barkley, sorry, Chuck, but I mean, he's all over the place. You are not going to score the scores that you want. And I said, you're right. If I don't have that right process, that right form, it doesn't matter how hard I work. I'm just reinforcing bad form. So that work ethic is great. You got to have the work ethic, but you also got to have the process. And that's where coaching comes in.
Exactly.
I look for folks that are open to coach. Tiger Woods, best golfer ever. He's got a coach. Come on, man.
He's got like 5.
And you're telling me I work with reps that are like, nah, I'm good. Nah, Larry, I'm good. I'm like, no, you ain't. But it's kind of like Kanye said, I can't tell you nothing.
No, I think that's really an important thing. And that's something that I'm concerned about as a female, as a white female leader, is making sure that we are offering opportunities to give that strategy and to give that coaching to those who need it. That's like my biggest fear right now, is how many people are we leaving behind who are willing to put in the hard work, who have the aptitude, but are stuck, I love the phrase a busy idiot, but who might be stuck in that place where they're doing everything right, or at least they're trying to, but it's just not getting anywhere because it's just hard work for the sake of hard work without any strategy behind it. Right. So like, so let me put this way. So when you see somebody on your team that's doing the hard work, but maybe is a little more resistant to coaching, they're like, no, I'm doing my 150. What do you care? I'm doing my 150. I'm hitting my number. What do you care? Why? You can't, like, that you can't tell me anything sort of attitude. I'm hitting my number. Leave me alone. How do you get through to them?
Yeah, that just comes down to the care and the understanding. If I understand what you're trying to accomplish, and I've had this conversation. I remember back Channel Advisor. I'm not going to say the rep's name, but he was like, hey, I'm hitting my numbers and I don't have to make 60 calls. I'm able to do it in 30. I said, hey, that's good. You told me about what you're trying to do with your kids. You told me what you're trying to do with your wife. Imagine if you made 60 calls and you doubled it. What would that look like in your paycheck? Now come and talk to me. You're right, Larry. I know. I'm not right very often, but I know that now I'm right. So it's once again, it's not about me. It's not, who cares about me? It's about you. What do you want to accomplish? If you're good with being good, then I made a bad mistake and you shouldn't be on my team. If you're not about that life of being good and taking that to great, good to great, I think it's a book, Jim Collins. Essentially, if you're not willing to take good to great, then we made a bad, I made a bad decision. Or something went wrong, and essentially we'll have to figure out how do we make that fit elsewhere. You can go make a good fit elsewhere. If you want to be on my team, you've got to have, and I'll be honest with you, I'm going through it right now with some reps. We're talking about the dreaded Salesforce documentation. If it's not in Salesforce, it didn't happen. And it's just a non-starter. When you play in the sandbox of our company, those are the rules. If you don't like those rules, then you're free to start your own sandbox or find a new sandbox, but this is the way it's got to be. And in sales, the great thing is we keep score, and it's awesome to be able to point up to the scoreboard and say, I'm winning. But essentially, I'm trying to take it to that next level. You're winning now, but let's really win. And that's what I love about Michael Jordan, the best of all time. Greatest of all time, in my opinion, is that he was an absolute ferocious competitor and did what he needed to do to get himself and his team to that next level. That's next level. My wife said, oh, people didn't like him. I said, you're right. As a leader, you can't lead to be liked. If you're liked by everybody, you're probably not doing something right. Now, there's a balance to it. We are talking about humans. You mentioned that before, Bryan. We're talking about the human beings and actual people. So no disrespect, but we're going to get after it. And we're going to make sure that we're at that standard where we give ourselves the best chance. And if our best chance doesn't win that championship, we can look ourselves in the mirror and say, hey, I tried my best and I can forget the rest. If anyone's ever done P90X, Tony Horton, that's his line. I did P60X. Don't tell nobody else. I ain't making 90 days. We found out my wife was pregnant, at 30 days. And essentially, I got tired of her and the dog watching me do pull-ups, struggle through pull-ups. I said, I'm going to have to tap out.
I remember there was a challenge to do that at work once, and they're like, you want to do it? Like, I'm not even doing one day. I know my limits. That will not end well. That'll end with like a broken ankle on day 3 or something dislocating. I'll stick to non-contact, non-jumping sort of
respect
yoga or something. Right. All right, Larry, this has been so much fun. You are absolutely incredible. And as we do with every episode, we're going to end with the lightning rounds. These are a series of questions we ask everybody. It's designed to be lighthearted. Don't think too much about any of these. Just supposed to have some fun. So
electric slide going on. I feel like I'm at a family reunion. Don't hurt me.
If you're not watching video, you should take a look at how Ashleigh can't dance. All right, first question. What's your morning routine?
Oh, goodness gracious. Morning routine. I roll over, kiss my wife, go take a shower, and then grab a breakfast. Sometimes, a lot of times I miss breakfast. Go out and walk my dog, and then at 8 o'clock, I join the Noodleberg Huddle every day, Monday through Friday. My man, Steve Noodleberg, who's been you look at him, he's all that and then some. I mean, I thought I had energy, but I like to start my day every morning from 8 o'clock to 8:20, just positivity, music, some learnings. That's how I like to get my day started. I need to mix in a workout. I put on my COVID-19, but we're going to be slowly chipping away at that, get my beach body.
Hey. All right, next one, A. So maybe not your favorite, but just pick one person who's had a significant impact on your career.
It's got to be my dad. My dad. God bless his soul. My dad, Larry Long. That's my dude. He's still with me, even though he's not here physically. He's with me through everything that I do. And I got a little emotional this morning. My son brought me breakfast for my birthday, and my dad loved me. I mean, he made it a point to always be there for every game. My pops.
Shout out to Senior.
Yes, sir.
All right, what's your pump up song?
Oh, goodness gracious, pump up song. Gosh, I love Bruno Mars. My wife hates it. I'm always playing the Bruno Mars station. I'm old school. I'm on Pandora. But dag, if I had to pick a song, I go through phases. What am I rocking to now? Well, when I played baseball, it was the song Rockwilder by Method Man and Redman.
Okay.
Just that beat. I'm tone deaf, but just Google it. You'll hear the start of that. Oh, it's so hard. It's like boom, boom, boom. It's hype. I'm already hyped, but you got me thinking about that song. I'm about to break the internet, Ashleigh.
If you don't know what this song is, it'll be on our Spotify playlist. Like if you search for Other Side of Sales.
Love it.
All right. One thing you wish you would have learned earlier.
Oh, goodness gracious. Drop the ego. Drop the ego. The ego prevents so much growth because you got it figured out. And the ego prevents you from getting out of your comfort zone. That's it. That's absolutely right. Who is that by? Who is it by? Who's the author?
Yeah, Ryan Holiday. Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Great book.
I'm going to scoop that up because it's so true. So many times folks, and I'll say all folks, don't want to put someone else out. I don't want to ask them because that's going to be a distraction. No, ask the question. People will let you know. They'll tell you, hey, I can't do that. I don't have time. But you'll be surprised. And Steve Noodleberg, he talked about it. He said he walked into the office of Don Shula, the former head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and he asked him, hey, Don, I see you don't have anyone representing you for your charity, your speaking engagements. What about me? He said, Don Shula looked at him with the steely eyes and said, sure.
I love it.
I would also say, I would tell my younger self, don't always believe those voices in your head. I started off my baseball career, 1 for my first 24. Any math majors, you can do the math. That's not very good. And essentially the voices told me, Larry, you don't belong playing at Division I. You can't do it. And I told my dad that, and he had some choice words through that phone that I can't repeat now, but he essentially yanked me up and said, that ain't how we roll as long as you got my name, you better represent. You better get back to the drawing board. You better work hard, and you better get your mind right or you're already defeated.
I love it. All right. Kind of pivoting off Bryan's poll there. What's your favorite sales book?
Oh, goodness gracious. I mean, the one that I go to is Spin Selling by Neil Rackham, but shucks, my favorite sales book, I'd have to go with Spin Selling. I mean, it's based on data, so the numbers don't lie. And I played baseball. I like the numbers. Now, the concepts have somewhat changed to modern selling, but I believe that the questions, I think Tony Robbins has a quote that says the most successful people are the ones that ask the toughest questions. Therefore, they get the toughest and the best answers. So in sales, it's a question game. What questions can you ask? And then what stories can you tell? So I don't know. I would have to go with spin selling, Neil Rackham.
Love it. What's one way someone could have been a better ally to you?
Oh, goodness gracious. I mean, once again, it comes down to listening. If you do ask the question, just listening.
Love it.
When people have something to say, there's a reason why we were blessed with 2 ears and one mouth. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, Bryan. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm sure you can tell. I had the mic this whole conversation. Y'all are like, Larry, take this back. This is my podcast. What do you think this is, the Larry Long Jr. show? No. But
it is today.
Just listening.
Love it.
All right. What's one way you're working to be a better ally for others?
Oh, goodness, great. Listening and essentially expanding my mind, having conversations, and through those conversations, less talk and more listening.
Love it.
There was a quote. I've got it pulled up. There was a quote. And once again, I love quotes, but this quote talks about, I'm going to find it real quick. I got it pulled up. When you talk, you are only repeating what you already know. But if you listen, you may learn something new. From the Dalai Lama. Love it. Love it. Don't spit stuff that you already know. Shut your mouth and learn something new from someone else.
Love it. What's the Larry Long Jr. guilty pleasure after a bad day?
Oh, goodness gracious. I'm a sucker for sweets. I got a buddy named Snacks. I said, dude, that should be my nickname right there. For my birthday, my wife baked a honey bun cake. And y'all can't see, but yeah, it shows. I love honey buns. I love, oh goodness, I'm like a kid at heart. I love Swedish fish. I love gummy bears, gummy worms. When I go in the gas station, my mom told me, she said, hey, when you get old enough, you can buy whatever you want. And unfortunately, I took her advice and I buy whatever the heck I want, which is not a good thing, but it certainly makes a brother feel good.
Sometimes you just need that little bit of sugar just to make your day sweeter.
Not me. I mean, I'm already wired kind of crazy. So you put sugar in me and it's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie.
Hey.
Oh my goodness. All right, Larry, that is all the time we've got. Thank you so much for sharing everything and being so raw and so honest. This has been absolutely delightful. This has been a hoot. You got us laughing and at the same time still talking about some really deep stuff. And I really, really appreciate you. Bryan, thanks for jumping in again as co-host. For those of you who are listening, you can reach out to Larry Long Jr. on LinkedIn. Any other ways they can get in touch with you, Larry?
Yeah, LinkedIn is the best way to holler at your boy. My website, LarryLongJr.com, is coming soon. So be on the lookout. It's going to make a big splash in a couple months.
Awesome. So keep an eye out for that. And don't forget, as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And if you're really feeling great, give us a review on your podcast server of choice. We really appreciate it. You can also check out the Other Side of Sales State of Sales survey on othersideofsales.com. And don't forget that you can always hit us up, Bryan and myself and Casey. Give her some positivity on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all the social stuff. And with that, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of The Other Side of Sales, and we will see you next time.